Hello, good evening to all. Hope you're doing well. Great. I'm Mohammad Tariq, and we are here to discuss, as you know, strategy, how to prepare for main exam, right? And you all have hopefully already decided that you're going to take history as your optional paper. So, few points which you have to keep in your mind to score 280 plus, which is very much possible, as many my students, including Shruti Sharma, who got, as you know, 309 in rank 1, and many my past students got very good marks in 280, 290, 300 plus. They were all like you. Some of them came from history background, some came from engineering background, some came from other social sciences and technological background. Rule is same. Rule number 1, you must internalize syllabus very carefully. Internalize means that you cannot just see it once and twice. You have to see it regularly, right? Number 2, PYQs. You know that? Last 10-year question must be very much internalized, topic wise, language of the questions, and most importantly, after looking the question, what is the central idea of the question? Now, the language would be little long. Now, if you don't get the central idea, you would always struggle in the peripheries. You understood this? So, that is the first important point in PYQs. If you have done 200 questions in the next 1 year to 1.5 years, you have to attempt at the best 20 questions in the main exam. So, what is the idea behind it? The 20 question finally you have to do it, but before that you have already practiced 200 questions 10 times. Now, the questions we will give in the classrooms, questions you would get from our coaching institutes, question you can also get from the book which we will recommend, not too much, very few. Because during your reading period, you should know that how the questions can be extracted from that chapter. So suppose you have practiced 200, it is much easier to get few questions in that 20, almost 90%. In few questions, 80, 70, 50, 40%. Are you getting my concept? So there would be hardly any question out of 20 which would be totally new, which is called surprise, shocked, oh my God, I never thought, I never heard type. That feeling comes when you were unprepared. But when you have already practiced this one, then this becomes much easier. And how it becomes easier? This is because when you have internalized syllabus, when you have internalized what I said, PYQs. You understand? The first few rules of what you call as strategies, though generally strategy word is a very much, uh, misused word in India. It is originally used in army to make strategy for war, for battles. But nowadays it is in cricket you use it, that Rohit Sharma is using in a strategy how to set a field, etc. So I personally don't believe there is something called a strategy of studies. There are disciplines of studies. That's the correct word. That you have to discipline your studies. Now, what is disciplining? Disciplining is not what you heard in NCC camp, right? One my student, she's sitting, she is a good candidate in NCC. So NCC discipline or army discipline is a different kind. A study discipline is different. What is a study discipline? The study discipline is that number one, and keep writing, because many of my thought are coming suddenly during my conversation. So if you miss, you would miss. The first part of study discipline is this, that what are your sources? If your sources of history or any subject is weak, then it is going to last till the last day of your exam. If your sources are very strong, your answer are going to be very strong. Now, large number of students do not understand the importance of sources in the main exam. You have to understand the difference between an optional paper and a GS paper. Optional essay and interview, first of all, are going to decide your selection, not GS. Exceptions apart. The reason is that the GS gives you 1000 marks, but if you just scan all the selected candidates or those who missed by margin, since I have better sample size in my last 27 years of teaching, through my successful candidate and those who missed by few marks in interview, by 1 mark to by 50 marks, and when we scan those, what we noticed that most students would get somewhere around 370 to 440 in general studies. Whether they failed or they passed, both are in this list. That is because SC, ST, OBC, general candidate, physically challenged candidate, the marks would vary. You understand this? What is the point? That here, because of the size of GS is very vast, so you cannot develop mastery over it. You would always remain generalist in general paper. You understand this point or not? Another reason is this, the size apart is a dynamic. It's changing. As you read today Indo-Bangladesh till date, by the time you would write main, many things would have happened. So many things would become obsolete and many things you have to add. How much you can? That's a challenging task. You would be, on an average, a general candidate in this subject. And since there is no specific book, no specific teacher also in most of the current affairs papers. I hope you understand this. So what happens? That this remains general in nature, but these are very specific. So interview sense is going to be tested by 5 gentlemen together. Unlike main paper, one at a time, here 5 people at least watching you if one is answering and questioning. So essay would check your depth. So that depth comes from your sources. Optional is about depth. That depth would come from sources. If your sources is weak, you would not have depth. You would always float. Like the question which was asked, that Battle of Battle of Plassey was a skirmishes, chota mota jhagda. But Battle of Buxar was the real battle. Comment. Now you can't understand this type of question without having depth. For instance, another question. And this sometimes the GS question is also very interesting of history as well as optional. So it would help you in both ways. Both Gandhi and Ambedkar wanted to uplift Dalit, but their approaches were different. Comment. Are you getting the depth in this kind of question? So you cannot do unless your sources are very strong. And from where to get it? The first important source is your class notes. And the second is some standard textbook. Now, standard textbook should not be too much. If you're reading too much books, that means you are definitely going to struggle. But without reading a standard textbook, also you would struggle. Say in Modern India, Bipan Chandra, one book enough for IAS aspirants. To add some value, you can read some chapters of some books which we will discuss, like Shikhar Bandyopadhyay's Plassey to Partition. Suppose you want to study workers and peasants movement only from Sumit Sarkar Modern India, these two chapters are very good, and you do not have to read the entire book. So some chapters, for instance, in ancient history, you want to know Buddhism, Jainism, Vedic religion, literature of ancient India. There is a wonderful book called Wonder That Was India, A.L. Basham. And once you read that book, for that fourth chapter, you are 100% sure. Let them ask any question, you cannot miss it. Now, you don't have to read any other source. So, that source is very interesting and very important. Suppose you want to read Ashoka's Dhamma. This question was asked. Now, that book, that chapter is very beautifully written by Romila Thapar in her book Ashoka and Decline of Mauryan Empire. It's a very small book. And you just read Ashokan Edict and Ashokan Dhamma from that book, which would not cost more than 4 hours. That is guaranteed. At the best, 6 hours. But if you have taken note from that one, now you are dead sure that you don't have to read that chapter from any other source except that source. You understood this? Like Ashok Dhamma as well as Ashok Edict. Now, since you may not know from where to get that beautiful articles from that source, so what we have adopted a method, we will give our ready-made notes which we have prepared from that sources. You get my point or not? Like in my handouts, apart from class notes, you would get my handout. Now that handout is prepared from multiple sources, from Bipan Chandra, from Sumit Sarkar, from Ramchandra Guha, from S. Gopal, from Tara Chand, from Ranjit Guha. But you can't read all these. If you read all these history books, you would become historian, not IAS. And our job here to make you IAS, IPS, IFS, not historian. So you do not have to read so many books, one standard textbook. But our class note in the lecture form and our handouts in the printed form would cover all those 20 plus sources. That is going to make your reading very rich reading. You're getting my point or not? Because they would not ask in exam who said what. According to Romila Thapar, according to Bipan Chandra, according to Sumit Sarkar, this is done generally by honors student in colleges in India, which is also not correct because our professors never encourage to quote historians unless a topic is debatable, like decline of Mauryan Empire, decline of Mughal Empire, fall of Harappan civilization. Suppose we are talking about partition and there are different theories. At that time, we use historians. But in most cases, you don't have to quote historians. So, what you would know through our classes, those class notes and handouts, which is a compilation from 20 plus sources, you have to yourself read only one standard textbook so that you should have first hand knowledge about history, that how history is written, how sentences are formed, how fact is different from interpretation, and how different writers have interpreted the same fact differently. That is what the advantage of reading this source. So you understood the importance of sources. Now, once you have decided that these are your sources, then you must read chapter wise rather than book wise. One method of study is that you take a book, start first chapter, end it. But you're not reading novel, One Night at Call Center, Half Girlfriend, Three Idiot. You know who wrote all these? Chetan Bhagat. This type of books you can read while traveling, while having fun, and you can enjoy some novels, some short stories, etc. But these are those books, it is said, which you have to read as you are chewing. So some books must be read like you are chewing. ऐसा कहते हैं ना, चबाकर उसको पढ़ना है. Now that requires that suppose there is a chapter 1, whichever chapter, ancient, medieval, modern world, you read chapter 1 from class note. Same chapter from our study material, same time, same day. If not possible same day, next day. But in between, nothing. 3, from standard textbook. Are you getting not? I will tell you the advantage. And this is one of the strategy which would never fail, that is guaranteed. That how to read one chapter and not to forget till your exam. No, no, no. It's not same. Second one and third one is not a standard material and a standard textbook. I said textbook written by eminent historians like India's struggle for independence, like Modern India by Bipin Chandra. Standard textbooks means that something which is, that's what I said. In the standard textbook, standard, no, that is a standard material, study material which we are providing. Example we will provide in the printed form. वो example, वो handouts is little different. We have much in book form. No, 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 no. That is for GS. Optional the teachers have framed. I have written myself all my study material for both GS separately, optional separately. You get my point or not? There would be some overlapping because modern India freedom struggle is in both. But economic history is not in detail in your GS. Drain of wealth, commercialization of agriculture, permanent settlement, Rayatwadi settlement, Maharwali settlement, famine in India, modern industries, plantation. Are you getting all the social religious reformers from Rajaram to Vivekanand, education system of British India? That is all in our that study material which you would get it, which I have written, our other colleagues have written for their own subject. That would be USP. USP, you understand this in marketing language. So that what I was talking, 20 plus sources we have compiled, and that would be very healthy for you. Standard textbook, you understood it. So what is the point? Chapter 1, you read it from these 3 sources. Now it may take 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. I'm taking maximum 8 hours, not more than that. You read it from one source, another source, same time, if not possible, same time in the evening, same day, if not possible, same day, next day. Now, don't tell me I will read next week. That is too long. I hope you're getting my point. So, tell me what is the advantage of reading one chapter? Say that chapter is Anglo-Bengal War, right? Just for the sake of taking example. Tell me what is the advantage of reading like that? One, she is saying clarity. Okay. Anyone else? What else? Good. There is a linkage. What is that? What does it mean? Online people, you can also continue. We can make notes thematically. Very good. Manu is saying that one. Hassan is saying, okay, that is a different one. It is history optional workshop, right? Tell me. Mm-hmm. Come on, come on, come on. Are you getting my question? What is the advantage of reading like that? You know, one advantage is that simple. You are repeating same concept and facts from 3 sources. So don't you think you're revising automatically? And don't you think it would help in your remembrance for a very long time? You're getting advantage because almost 70% or 60% material would be same. But if 60% is same, that means 40% are different also. So you would get something new which you did not get in the study material. You may get in textbook, which you did not get in textbook. You can get it in my class lecture. You're getting my point. So you are richer. Now you understood the importance of sources which I'm talking. Tell me any other advantage. And that is very, very critical point. If you can get it, that means right now you are scoring 280 plus. You're getting my point? Vocabulary, okay, I agree. Vocabulary also would be improved, both technical vocabulary and English vocabulary. Am I right? But that is true with newspaper also. That is true with any book which you read quality, your vocabulary is automatically going to be improved. But beyond a point, vocabulary would not help. You should need minimum vocabulary to express, but you don't have to enrich your vocabulary like Shashi Tharoor, which you in any case can't do that. Am I right or wrong? I mean, at this level, I'm not challenging in the future, but at least that is not needed right now. Am I right? Well, in-depth perspective, you can get it from either the text or my class note by and large, but maximum in depth would come when you are thinking alone after reading all this. The most important thing you would get that there is a possibility that I and our material said something else and the book said something else, contradictory, complete opposite, not fact I'm talking, thought. What would happen at that time? Imagine कुछ ऊपर हलचल होगा, कुछ टेंशन आएगा, ओ माय गॉड सर ने तो ये बोला था, किताब में तो ये लिखा हुआ है. Am I right or wrong? If you are a curious student, what you would do? You would try to know which of the two is correct, and sometimes even facts can be different. That is because even government data is different from United Nations data. You agree with it or not? Just check it pandemic. The government says something else, New York said something else, international agencies said something else about GDP, about various other sources. So would be our historical fact. You would find in some ancient textbook, Mahatma Buddha was born in 563 BC. In another book, 566 BC. In another book, 567 BC. If you read all the same day, you would be shocked. Oh my God, Buddha must be born once. ये तो यूपी बिहार में मैंने सुना था कि एक बंदे के पास 2 बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट होता है. बुद्धा के पास भी क्या बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट 3 था? प्लीज डोंट माइंड. ऐसा इंडिया के आर्मी चीफ के साथ हो चुका है. डू यू नो दैट मिस्टर वीके सिंह and the controversy between him and government of India, and the issue was Manmohan Singh was prime minister, AK Antony was defense minister, Mr. VK Singh was army chief. He was about to retire, right? He was when about to retire, then he said to the government that his date of birth by mistake was 1951. Actually, he was born in 1952. All the date, month was same. You understood this? If it is 1952, it means he would last one more year as an army chief. I hope you understand. In retirement, it is going to benefit. Now, defense secretary, he caught it. IAS officer. Secretary to wahi hota hai. Then he questioned that when you were lieutenant general at that time, you presented this certificate, posing yourself senior most lieutenant general, and you became army chief. Now you are retiring, so you are posing this as correct, this as incorrect, so that one more year extension. अब तो नहीं चलेगा. But he said कि सर वो गलती हो गई, there was some NDA में हो गया था or somewhere else. I'm not for recalling exact issue, but there was definitely a technical error either by NDA or by some other board. That is true. But the point is, if you just ask morally, even if it is technical error, he lived with last 35 years with this 2 date of birth. Right or wrong? And he used already this one to become army chief, because there would be 8, 9 more lieutenant general. And he became on what basis? Seniority. So he had already used that. Now he is using this one. Is it not immoral? I mean, to me, it is immoral. Of course, it is very subjective thing. Illegal or not, that is the court would decide. Immoral is subjective. In my opinion, it was immoral. If I have used one, I cannot use twice. But not take it as a student of history. As a student of history, if somebody after 100 years is reading VK Singh, date of birth, which one he would treat as correct one? You all have 10 certificate. You know that? Which certificate is regarded as the most authentic in India? Class 10th. You know that? I hope you know that. In all exams in India, class 10 certificate is the paramount for your date of birth. Sometime your hospital record may be different. Possible? And knowing India's hospital very well, local hospital wala can easily change the date. And I know personally many my relatives, friends, neighbor, जिसके पास एक नहीं दो नहीं तीन बर्थडे अलग अलग है, especially during exam admission time of the nursery boys and girls. You know that because the age limit could be 4, अब वो 5 का हो गया. So क्या करते हैं पब्लिक, फिर से एक सर्टिफिकेट बनाती है 4 का, 6 का हो गया फिर से बना रही है 4 का. And I remember in my daughter's school, there were some girls who were 3 years senior to her. And this we came to know only in class 5th and 6th because the child growth rate would be different. So obviously, it's an odd competition. Imagine if it is a sports under 16 and one candidate is 18 and one is 15. Is it a fair competition? Just by 100 gram, a player lost her medal. Here, by 2 years, somebody is cheating. It's quite common. But there is a science also that how it can be stopped. But I want to finish my point, and my friend Chandrabhan Sahab would join within few minutes. And then at 7 o'clock, we will have together some question answer round. So my point of finishing is this, that how you should read chapter wise, this one chapter from 3 sources. Are you getting my point? And making your own note is very important. 2 types of note you should make. One is long notes and one is short notes. You get my point or not? Long means does not make it 5-6 pages long note. Long notes should not be more than 300 to 400 words. And short notes should not be more than 30 to 40 words. 1/10 size of the long note. Only the key words, the highlighted word in the same chapter, same page or nearby. Are you getting? And revise this short note as many as time as possible. So what would happen? The moment you would see short note, you can recall the long note. Long note. I hope you're getting note. Last point. Make sure you write every day 1 or 2 question before you sleep. Now imagine if you're writing every day 1 question, then 365 days, 365 questions. I presume that 60 days would be holy days, Dashara, Diwali, Holi, Eid, Bakrid, Muharram, etc. So 300 days means 300 questions. And if some of you are doing 1.5 or 2, it would be 400 plus. And how many questions I told in the beginning that you should at least have practiced? 200. I hope you understood it. These are some basic things. If you do it, if you do just 8 hours a day study, which you have already done in your school, college days, but make sure the exam belongs to those who follow the basics, not those who adventures. So just follow the basics. Whatever I told, all are basics. Nothing extraordinary, nothing something which you should not know. But unfortunately, in this mad race, people think that preparation means something extraordinary, I have to do that. The formula in most of the field in the life is to follow the basic rule of the game. If you play cricket, basic rule of the game is there's a bat, there's a ball, there is an eye, there is a mind, and there is a coordination between your mind and eye and bat and ball. And when to hit, where to hit, all coach would tell that the shot should be played in the line of the ball, not across the line. The shot should be taken in the middle of the bat, not at the edge of the bat. The position of your standing and your footwork should be very coordinated. It is already in air by the commentators. Am I right? These are basics. And those who followed basics, they become Virat Kohli. They become Sachin Tendulkar. They become Bradman or Gavaskar. If you just read what they did, I read all these interviews, and they said they just followed the basic. Like there should be training every day, like there should be some physical exercise, like they should not eat some food which is unhealthy. But this is some basic which we don't follow. So all great people, they followed the basic rule of the game and they are successful. To follow something basic is the most difficult today. And that is why students are, in dilemma. Oh my God, IAS preparation is something, it's a very magical thing. It's not magical thing. It's simple, but follow it regularly. Thank you very much. We'll meet shortly. My friend is coming to join you, and at 7 or 7:05, I will come again for question answer. Thank you.
क्या हुआ चल नहीं रहा है just one second thank you so okay I'll be is it the mic is on okay I'll be highlighting only few issues which are important from the overall point of view of history optional preparation. I'll be taking your modern world history, you might be aware. So तीन चार चीजें हैं I had written so that I can talk in a very precise manner. First is sources. Second is the role of NCRTs, which falls in the sources, standard books, and class notes. Next year, you will get only, I think, 85 days between your GS and your mains examination, prelims and mains examination. So, how to complete the syllabus? Along with the foundation course. And fourth, what are the important things that you should keep in mind when you write answers, answer writing for history optional. So I'll talk on only four of these issues to be very specific. Because first of all, online students, please turn on your camera. It's a request. So as far as sources are concerned, because it is already October, we have to be very particular regarding the choice and also the utilization of the sources. It means that I'll be honest, there will be a number of sources which you'll have to refer, but you don't have to refer to those sources cover to cover. I'll be taking your modern world history. Praveen Dikshit sir would be taking your ancient India. Rohan Srivastav sir will be taking your medieval India, early medieval India. And Muhammad Tariq sir will be taking your modern. But all of us would tell you one thing, that yes, there are very good books that are there for history optional. There are standard books. Upinder Singh is there, Satish Chandra is there, J.L. Mehta is there, Ignu is there, Norman Lowe is there, Ranjan Chakravarti is there, Shekhar Bandyopadhyay is there, Bipan Chandra is there, Sumit Sarkar is there, B.L. Grover is there. So all these are sources. But above all these sources, there are two sources from where your preparation starts and your preparation ends. These two sources, before we refer to them, is one is syllabus. The study of the syllabus, and then having the PYQ. This is the holy grail, this is the Bible of your preparation. Why syllabus? पहले ये समझिए. Syllabus, because yes, it is a reality. There is no mincing of the words about it, that history optional is vast. Vast means the number of topics that you have to do in history optional is sometimes it appears to be more in comparison to few of the other subjects. I would not say all the other subjects. There are subjects like political science, geography, public administration, and history, which are of same width. But what is good about history optional is that everything that you will be asked in the examination is listed clearly in your syllabus. If you study the syllabus, or if you keep the syllabus in hand, and once you are done with a portion and you tally it with the help of your PYQ and syllabus, you would know that okay, maybe these 3 or 4 issues I have not covered. I'll give you an example. 3 years back, they had asked a question, discuss the development of Sanskrit literature during Mughal times. Now, when that question was asked, discuss the development of Sanskrit literature in Mughal times, everybody said that this is an out of context or out of the box question. This is a very difficult question. But had you seen the syllabus, in the syllabus it is clearly written, discuss the development of, or it is mentioned, Persian literature, vernacular literature and Sanskrit literature in the section that is society and culture during the Mughal times. So it is very, very important. We tend to neglect it, but it is very important that throughout the course of your preparation, I always tell that once you are doing a chapter and you feel that you have done it, please go back to the syllabus and see whether every keyword that is mentioned there, you are able to write at least 150 words on that or not. Because if you can do that, I am telling you, be assured that the good part about history optional is that it is very predictable, and once you have covered it, then there is no element of surprise. It may take 30-35 days more, but it also is going to help you immensely in your GS. This time all the questions in GS paper 1, history questions that have come from our mains optional test series program. But you know what is the beauty of it is that the questions that have come are much simpler in nature. So first source what you have to follow is that you should know and read the syllabus. Read the syllabus means if anybody asks you that okay, what are the dimensions of Cholas or what are the dimensions of German unification, you should know, you should say that okay, these are the 6 issues I have to read. I don't have to worry about this. And second is PYQ. What PYQ tells us is that the prominent themes are repeated. In PYQ, if you see the PYQ, most of the macro themes are repeated. So PYQ also tells you that okay, possibly this theme was asked 4 years back, we expect it to be asked this year. So first thing is this. First source which everybody follows, irrespective of whether you do the classroom program, whether do you do self-study, whether you do a postal course, PYQ is very important. And I would suggest that new Vishal's PYQ book is a must-have. आज ही जाकर ले लीजिए. Online students, new Vishal's book, number 1. Number 2, for those students who are not from history optional background, those, because many of you are not from optional background. I myself did not graduate initially in history. Then after some time, I had interest and I pursued. So for those students, and why you are choosing optional, because you, one, have interest in the subject, and second, you realize the utility of it. So for those students who do not have a history as a background and feel that certain areas of history optional you are not as aware or familiar with it, it is a suggestion that before the classroom begins, at least read the old NCERT of it, not new ones, not entire cover to cover NCERT. पूरा नहीं पढ़ना है. What you have to read? Old NCERT. For example, you are comfortable with American Revolution, you are comfortable with French Revolution, but you are not very much sure about German unification. You are not very much sure about the politics of Balkan Peninsula in 19th century. So that is where I tell you that before you come to the class, it is good to spend 1.5 hours with your NCERT. Because then what will happen? It is very important for this batch, is that before the class you have to read NCERT, not after the class. Because if you don't read before the class and you are not very familiar or comfortable with the subject, then you will not take full benefit of the classroom. So you have to do on a selective basis. You don't have to read cover to cover. If you know it, that's fine. Many of you might have done GS from here. So those of you who have done GS from here, you don't need to do this. So that is what I am telling you, because we are in the month of October. So you have to be very selective about it. You have to read from a number of sources, but you have to read in a selective manner as and when required. Fine. Second is standard books. I would not tell you the list of standard books that will be told in the class, but whatever standard book you are going to follow, it can be in every area. There can be one book, or sometimes there can be two books. हो सकता है ऐसा. So before you start a standard book, for example, Upinder Singh, first ask the faculty whether or which areas of that standard book has to be read. If possible, get it marked. Because the purpose, let us be absolutely clear that the reason why we have assembled here is to clear the examination next year, to write the mains and to score 280 plus, at least 280 plus in the mains examination. तो इसमें हमको क्या करना है? What we have to do? We have to prepare the standard books, but the selected portions of it. So get it marked. Don't just go and purchase from the market and start reading on your own, because that may help you, that may satiate your intellectual interest, but that may consume a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time. We have just the sufficient time required to clear the examination with a good rank. And then the class notes. This is going to be your, I would say, most important source for it. I always tell this, that one of the things that you have to do to complete the syllabus with the foundation program, so that your syllabus by say 10th of March gets completed. And what do we mean by completion of syllabus? Is that you are aware and you have some knowledge of it. It does not mean that you have everything at your fingertips. Online students, I will answer your doubt, but first let me complete this. So completion of syllabus का क्या मतलब होता है? Completion of syllabus does not mean that you remember everything. It is not possible for you to remember everything in one go. But completion of syllabus means, one, you are aware of the syllabus. You know that, okay, I have completed 80% of it in the class, 15% I have to do, I have to manage. But completion of the syllabus also means one thorough reading of at least the class notes. Don't revise, read and analyze your class notes. जब आप class notes को revise करते हैं घर पे, and you find that an idea has come to your mind, उसको वहीं पर लिखो, right there. Your class notes should appear like your personalized diary. समझ रहे हैं आप? So that by the time the optional foundation program is done in the 10th of March, you have read it cover to cover, class notes, at least twice. Because believe me, then only you will be able to recall what has been done in the class. It is very important, because many a times I find it unfortunate, but this happens, is that people complete the course They are aware, but then they say that, sir, we have forgotten the narrative that was discussed in the class. It is my humble suggestion to all of you that once the classroom starts, especially for online students, please be disciplined and regular in the class. Although recorded videos will be given to you, but try to avoid watching recorded videos. Number one, it is a duplication of the effort. You should not waste time. It is a 3.5 hours class, 2.5, 3 hours class. You have to do so many things. And how you will avoid? By being attentive in the class. And we all know that what is procrastinated, what is left to be done later, kabhi nahi hota hai. आज आपने एक वीडियो छोड़ दिया, चलो संडे को देखेंगे, फिर आपने 2 क्लास छोड़ दिया, and what happens? The validity period of the video gets lost and the video is gone. So despite enrolling for the course, you have not taken the full advantage of it. So discipline is very important. Read, revise on the same day, and once the chapter is done, अब हम इस पर बात करते हैं. Let's talk about this. So what you have to do? One, attend the classes regularly. Second, try to revise it before the next class. Revise का मतलब है not only just reading it, trying to recall what was said in the class. And once you revise it, और उसके बाद आप कभी कोई standard notes पढ़ते हैं, or you find any good question in the test series, or a statement, or an argument, यहाँ पर add कीजिए. Enrichment of the class notes has to be done by you, and this enrichment, this value addition has to be done not once but multiple number of times. एक बार आप बैटल ऑफ प्लासे क्लास में पढ़ेंगे, बट बैटल ऑफ प्लासे will come at multiple times during the test, during the crash course, during whatever. हो सकता है that you are reading a newspaper, उसमें culture section में बैटल ऑफ प्लासे आ गया. Something has happened with respect to, and an article has come on Robert Clive. एक किताब का नाम आ गया. What you will do? You will revise it, you will underline it, और यहीं पर लिख लोगे. So this is a organic process. आप समझ रहे हैं? This is a process by which the subject will be yours. Otherwise, you will have a class note, you will buy other value addition notes. फिर कुछ और खरीद लेंगे, वो नहीं करना है. So how will you complete your syllabus? Attend the classes, correlate with the syllabus to see what remains, discuss with the faculty how to cover that area, or how have you covered that area. Solve the difficult PYQs, आसान वाले नहीं. Don't solve a question, what were the factors responsible for German unification? नहीं. This will not be asked. हाँ, शुरुआत में आसान questions लिखो. But then actually the difficult questions, which are the most difficult questions in history optional? The most difficult questions in history optional are 2 to 3 types. पहला है interpretation based questions. ये शुरुआत में नहीं करना है. I'll come to this point also. But at least जो आपका PYQ की बुक है, उसको आप मार्क कीजिए. Mark that, okay, these are the difficult questions I have to do. These are the questions I have covered. Because then only you will be able to say by the end of, say, February or by 10th of March that you have completed at least satisfactorily. And if you can do that, I can assure you that by the time your prelims is over next year, you will be in a comfortable position. If a bit of improvement or some bit of reading has to be done, you can do that. रही बात handout की, somebody is writing that, sir, handouts समझ में नहीं आता. Handouts are meant to supplement. Handouts are not meant, and plus in optional we don't give so many handouts also. Handouts are meant to supplement. Standard books are meant to supplement. अगर standard book ही पढ़वाना है तो फिर what is the purpose of class? The purpose of classroom is to save your time. The purpose of classroom is to give you multiple dimension. So that is why we try to incorporate all these elements. Last aspect, answer writing for history optional. Answer writing for history optional has to happen in phases. सबसे पहला will be class tests. Why class tests are important? Because first, class test gives you a first-hand exposure to right answers. class tests are mainly based on the content which is done in the class. It may appear to be too easy, but the idea is that at least you take the baby steps towards answer writing. You understand how to write a good introduction. You may not have a lot of expertise, but you can write some bit of answer. क्या बात है, बहुत खुश हैं. Second step is you have to do on your own, that is PYQ questions. ये आपको खुद करना है. This is where a very good student and a good student is differentiated. A very good student will not wait for next year to start writing PYQ. A very good student would start writing 1 or 2 PYQ and they will catch the faculty, they will email the faculty and they will get it evaluated. So that by the time the course is over, from every section, that aspirant, say aspirant A, has already got feedback on say 30 questions per section. 120 question लिख लिया. So that whatever mistakes you have to make or whatever areas of correction you need to do, that is done before. There are many levels of correction you would require. First level of correction is with respect to understanding the demand of the question. सबसे पहले तो students को यही समझ में नहीं आता है. And it is okay. Why? Because the questions are not direct nowadays. The type of questions which were asked in say 1990s or early 2000s in history optional were more straightforward and more discuss based question. Now the questions which are asked are interpretation or demand based question. अभी टेस्ट में मैंने क्वेश्चन पूछा था स्टूडेंट्स से, that according to Francis Bacon, वो पहला टेस्ट में था, according to Francis Bacon, truth is the daughter of time, not of authority. Comment with respect to Renaissance. It's a difficult question. And why I had asked the question, so that I know most of the students have made a mistake, but then I told you how to write an interpretation based question. तो पहला लेवल में आप क्या सीखते हैं? You write how to write answers, you write how to understand the demand of the question. In the second level, you learn how to integrate different areas of the syllabus. In the third, which is the final stage, you learn how to enrich your answers, how to write quotations, how to integrate data, how to make it more creative. But if you don't do step 1, step 2, you will never do step 3. So step 1, step 2 आपको कब करना है? Along with foundation. Let me tell you, every year I tell the same thing. हर साल मैं यही बात बताता हूँ. But it is a fact, I don't know why, that only 10 to 15% of the student implement it. And you know what happens? I'll be honest. Then the course gets completed. And then next year students come and they say that, sir, please, let's start it from the scratch. That is also okay. But the problem is that next year, the frequency of interaction between the faculty and the student reduces. Now, we will meet every day. We means faculties. You can ask even the most basic of the doubts. But once the course gets over, we will meet. But the frequency will be less. Many of you might have left Delhi. So, and otherwise also the process itself is very painful. It is very, very painful to repeat it. तो जितना पेन सहना एक ही बार में सह लीजिए. जितनी मेहनत करनी है, if you have to have sleepless nights, 4 घंटे सो करके करना है, एक बार में कर लो, है ना? एक बार में कर लो. So I am telling you very honestly that if you want to appear in the interview next year, आपको ये सारी चीजें इसी बार करनी होंगी. That is why I am not discussing anything else. Initially मैंने सोचा था, in the morning I was thinking that I will tell you how to write history optional answer, the strategy of it, but I thought no. The purpose of this workshop is to tell all the serious students that yes, next 5 months are just appropriate, sufficient, but you cannot afford to make mistakes now. For those students who might have started in the month of May or June, हो सकता था कि वो 10-15 दिन कर ले, लेकिन अगर आप ये सारे steps अभी से follow करें, that is why I wrote it and I have mentioned it on the board, that if you if you follow all these steps in a diligent manner, I can assure you that your 60 to 70% of your syllabus will be in control. It may happen that at the time of your prelims, you may say that I don't remember, but suddenly once the prelims get over and we again meet for the test series, from this year, what we have also done is that all those students who are a part of our foundation program, we offer them crash course and test series, so that it is a complete process. But I don't want you to say at that moment that sir कैसे आंसर लिखें, ये सवाल अभी करेंगे आप, कैसे आंसर लिखें सर, कितना लिखें, whether we have to adhere to the word limit. Step 3 enrichment creativity ये आप बाद में करना, but step 1 demand interpretation and recalling it. अभी टेस्ट के क्वेश्चन थोड़े सिंपल भी होंगे, और at least one reading, and it is possible every year it happens. और आप तो फिर भी फुल टाइम प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं. There are so many students who crack the examination while they are working, you know this. So don't have this doubt in your mind whether you'll be able to do it. But what you have to do, you have to follow it diligently. आज से, after today, assess your relative awareness of the syllabus, 4 areas, and first go and start with the NCERT chapters. Old. बोलिए. First of all, the history questions which are asked in the GS are a simplified form of what was asked in the optional. I'll give you an example. This year they asked a question, discuss the contribution of Pallavas in art and culture. That is such a simplistic question in optional that anybody who prepares ancient India or the history of South India can write 500 words on Pallava and architecture, art and culture. So I always say this, that one advantage, it is known, one advantage that people get while preparing for optional in this phase is that your memory of culture, which is a difficult area of your prelims examination, is tackled. Because you do it now, so you have read in so much depth that while many students are worried how to prepare culture, by the time January is done, your culture portion is already taken care of. All the questions, this time a question was asked that what were the events that led to the Quit India movement, and point out its results. History optional students knows in and out of Quit India movement. So for you, answering a question, what led to Quit India movement, is a very, very simple thing. So let me tell you, it is very clear thing that those who prepare for history optional, they never prepare for GS. And the only form of preparation they do for GS is that possibly before the mains examination, they will write 1 or 2 GS papers just to do it. But yes, तो ये तो वही बात होगी ना कि आपको बहुत ज्यादा आता है, आपको कम करना है. You have done a PhD in a subject and you are told to say basic things about it. And it is repeated. It is repeated. I told you all the 7 questions that have come. Once the optional gets over, I am waiting for the optionals to be done, because once the optional is over, we will release a document in which we will be showing the reflections of our test series questions in both optional and in GS. It is simple questions aate hain. In fact, let me tell you, the advantage is that sometimes the question in GS are difficult, but the optional students find it easy. For example, this time the question had come that to what extent or how far do you agree that First World War was fought for the preservation of balance of power? Many students do not understand if they have not studied GS well, but optional students will know what is happening in the politics of Europe, because 19th century we do a lot in detail. A question was asked, do you think that industrial revolution in England was solely responsible for the decline of handicrafts and handlooms in India? You are aware, you know this, because you read a debate on the deindustrialization in India. आपको पता है what are the factors which led to deindustrialization, decline of handicrafts and handlooms. बस आप क्या करेंगे, आप historians के नाम हटा देंगे, आप कहोगे there were other factors also, which other students don't. So it's a simple thing. Do you understand? So automatically, in fact, I tell many of the students, if any of you is from my GS, that don't attend our GS lectures. बिल्कुल मत आइए. Save the time for your GS history preparation, devote it to other areas. Anyways, देखिए history तो पढ़ना ही है सबको. Anyways, you have to read history, whether you take or not. So once you prepare for optional, your GS is already taken care of. You don't have to read spectrum also separately. If you have read optional, आपको बस ये होता है कि while you are revising your notes, sometimes you find that okay, I'll just refer to spectrum for few points, otherwise I know it. You don't have to read cover to cover. ठीक है. So these are the 4 things I have to say. Some of you now you can ask your questions, online students also. Sir, I'm preparing for 2026. Can I take this course now? देखिए, what is the best time to prepare optional? That is the question. The best time to prepare optional is the time when you realize that what is the optional you want to take. Because this itself is a very strategic decision that you take. For example, what is the best time to start UPSC preparation? I would say that the best time to start UPSC preparation is the time when you realize that you have to prepare for UPSC. Provided you have passed out of your class 12th and you have some time for graduation. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको class 6 में पता चल गया I have to become a civil servant, तो आप उस समय नहीं कर सकते. So similarly, for those of you who are preparing for 2026, if you have made up your mind, I would say why to delay it for next year, prepare for now. And it is not late to prepare for this year's 2025 attempt. I have told you, this is just the sufficient time to prepare. How? I told you. How we have to do it? I told you. It is just the sufficient time. Yes, if you deviate, then definitely, उसके लिए तो फिर कोई भी time sufficient नहीं है. So people crack examination with history optional in the first attempt, and people don't crack this examination with history optional even after multiple attempts. So what differentiates? The strategy and the consistency. Do you agree? It is a simple thing. It is not something that is very Latin, I am telling you. What are the perks of joining optional classes other than the perks is that you will complete your syllabus in time, sir. What are the perks? Perks to nahi bolna chahiye. The use of the words perks is very, I would say objectionable for me. But if you ask me what are the advantages for joining history optional, I would say that the advantages is that any classroom will save a lot of your time. Test series, all these are supports. These are the support system apart from the classroom teaching that we do to help you cover the syllabus on time. Ye perks nahi hai. This is a support. For example, after classroom, if you sit with you, or if we have a discussion online with you, it is not a perk. It is a support that we give based on your requirement. Do you understand? The primary thing that we offer is classroom teaching, conceptual clarity, syllabus completion, timely completion. That is the thing. ये प्रोडक्ट थोड़ी है कि आप पूछ रहे हैं कि साथ में फ्रीबीज में क्या क्या मिल रहा है. मोबाइल फोन के साथ सर ईयरफोन दे रहे हैं, चार्जर दे रहे हैं, ऐसा थोड़ी है. अभी भी आफ्टर द क्लास देयर आर फ्यू स्टूडेंट्स ऑफ लास्ट ईयर हु हैव रिक्वेस्टेड, उनको डाउट है, तो मैंने बोला बैठिए करते हैं. तो इट इज समथिंग दैट इज एन ऑर्गेनिक प्रोसेस. लेट अस नॉट ऑब्जेक्टिफाई इट. कम ऑन, है ना. इट हैपेंस. अभी कई लोग ऐसे हैं, students who have passed out 2 years back and they are writing a email to us, तारिक सर से मिलने आते हैं, that please check our answers. It is a part of a student's faculty. It is a part of a process. It is not a perk. I have already taken the course. My doubt, sir, जरा answer कीजिए. My doubt is I missed lectures. So should I take the course again?
Yeah. Please be here. We can
Yes.
jointly give answers. Yes. Joint parliamentary session.
Yes, sir.
Right? So
आप लोग भी doubt पूछिए.
yeah, you all are welcome to ask whatever type of question. Please come.
Yes.
Whatever types of question, and here questions also we can read it. One question that one candidate is asking, we have taken already your class and we missed few videos, few lectures. Should I join course again? It's a crime, right? Please don't waste your time and money. just take those missed videos. Of course, missed videos, he has missed 10 lectures. 10 lectures means around 25 hours minimum. So don't miss, you all people also. If you miss by chance, then take the videos, but don't, you know, copy those videos and post in what Telegram channel, right? These are unethical practice which we don't expect an IAS aspirants to do that one. You remember that some people would copy some videos, etc., which is illegal, immoral. But I would not suggest you to take another class. Not you also. It's like you didn't understand in those lectures because he has already done 90%. So revision is important, and missed questions you can take it, right? Sucheta is asking, you can answer that question.
How to tackle prelims for modern history, sir?
Okay, for modern history, you know, we don't believe that an IS aspirant who has done optional history should worry about prelims history, because you're going to at least 30-40% extra. So the prelims for, it is for GS, not for optional. So those who would attend our optional classes, they should not worry about GS. It would be automatically cakewalk. Like if suppose there are 20 questions from history, ancient, medieval, modern, art and culture all put together, you should do 18, 17 minimum. And you can do that. How? Just revise, just practice, because your concept would be better than others. You would get more facts than the others. And GS is very, by and large, superficial as far as the prelims is concerned, not main. So do not worry about that part.
So, taking your advice, if I don't buy the course, how can I get my answers evaluated? Just mail it to us. You can
Yes.
mail it to us and we will check your answers. I told you it is an organic process. From the time you join, even if people don't join, let me tell you, we encourage people to join to save time, but there are few students who don't join the course. Still, we check the answers. So everything cannot be objectified, or we cannot say in that way. So Abhinav, you can write mail to us. So I will share my email ID. So you can write email related to the area where I teach, and I'll check it. It happens.
Okay.
Same with other faculties.
One candidate is asking by which month the batch would be over. This batch, which is going to start in October, hopefully by March, plus minus 10-15 days, right? So that is very much possible. And that is true with almost all subjects. Then one question is, if a person doing self-study, how can I check my answer writing? I think you answered that question.
Yes, you please write. Those people who are in Delhi, NCR, we suggest that please come, because always a personal meeting is better. So you can come sometimes if you have time with your answers. All four of us are available here. You can ask. You can come up with 4-5 answers. You can come up with books. It has happened many a times that people come with books. They purchase books and they sit with us and they say कि mark the chapters. कई बार हुआ तारिक सर बैठ के mark करते हैं विपिन चंद्रा के book में what to be read, what not to be read.
And
so we can do that. And for online students, you can mail it to us.
Yeah.
Email ID is not clearly visible. It is Chandra0007. Come on. It's very famous.
00 था ना, triple कब से हो गया?
Bond से एक step आगे.
Okay. So,
Chandra 0007.
So, at least 10% of your questions, suppose you have to practice 200 question, as I said few minutes back, at least 10% of that 200, you must get it evaluated from faculty. The idea behind is that you should know what is the standard. With the marks and remarks, when you get the standard, so remaining 90% you can do on your own. And that on your own you can do only when you know what is the standard. Because you would start with a very low standard when you evaluate yourself. But if you know that some teacher has given this marks for this type of questions and answers, so that bar you would maintain on your own. And after few months, when you're writing an answer, in halfway you would yourself know, am I going right or wrong? In interview also it would happen within 10-15 minutes. Am I going right or wrong? At least you would know, first person, that am I able to deliver the best as per the question or not. And but that, for that you have to have first some experiences from the faculty, right? Should I do history honors graduate to take history optional? My god, then all the students had to do graduation again. The idea behind UPSC syllabus is that whatever subject you studied in your graduation or post graduation, you can take any subject. As I keep telling, the topmost criteria should be your interest. If you have interest in any subject, take that subject. All other criteria become secondary. If you don't have interest, don't take it, because you would struggle, because you have to live with this subject for a very long time. It's almost like you make a friend but you don't like that friend, so how long you would live with that person? That is exactly like subject. So the subject should be like your best girlfriend or best boyfriend. I hope you understand this. At least to me, history is, often my wife would say, Meri Sautan hai. You get my point or not? So love your history or your subject as much as that somebody should feel jealous about that subject, because you love that subject so much, right?
Sir,
Yeah.
a student is asking that I am doing history as a graduation. Should I take optional course? See, I would try to answer. You can go through the PYQ and the syllabus, and if you are comfortable, you feel that you are able to answer the difficult PYQs based on your knowledge of honors subject, then probably you can let it go. But let me tell you that the orientation or the demand of the subject, because sir has been teaching in the universities, so sir can tell you, and sir will take it forward. But the demand is different.
Yeah, very true. Actually, in university, what happens, I can tell you our own example. I would teach French Revolution in 2 days. All my other faculties would take, Plassey also in 2-3 days, but can be afford in IS. So the point is that in university lectures, they give lectures, what is called bhashans, and many of them uh, develop this habit of going here and there. Of course, it may help you in your knowledge base, but quite often, even in university, the classroom teaching and exam are totally different. So a lot of students in DU particularly rely on guide for exam, and that is because they could not connect between lecture and exam. Now between that lecture and IS there is further gap, and the gap is that IS questions are more dynamic
Yes, they are more application based.
and
So
more
please,
application
yes,
based.
please see the PYQ and then take a call.
Yes.
Sir, for modern history, could you please list the standard books and then I'll take your
I
question.
told only three things: my class notes, our study material, which I and our faculty of each part has made it, and then one standard textbook. Now there are plenty. Bipin Chandra is regarded best for IAS because most balanced, a nationalist come Marxist, ideologically very much compatible with most of the historians or teachers who are going to check your copy. When you read Sumit Sarkar, he is regarded as little extreme Marxist. So he may attack Gandhi more, Nehru more. Are you getting my point or not? Which is good in academics, but not so good in IAS exam. So my own formula about freedom struggle leaders for civil service exam is that use your mind like a Marxist, heart like a nationalist, and make a balance between Marxist and nationalist. And that is where Bipin Chandra is best. You get my point that he was originally known as a Marxist historian, but he is very Gandhian. In fact, he is the only person among top historians who call Gandhi ji in the book. No other historians called Gandhi ji in the book, including Gandhi's own grandson Rajmohan Gandhi. And Rajmohan Gandhi, in all his book which I read, he often called him Gandhi. And when I was reading first time, I was just wondering if I would have written about my grandpa, would I have called just by his name, because it would be very emotionally difficult. But since he's a historian, par excellence. So he treated Gandhi as a subject, not as his grandfather. And then you can objectively analyze, because the moment you call somebody as Gandhi ji, you have first given him a respect. Then there would be a problem in questioning that person's decision. But yet Bipin Chandra managed. That is why he would be the best for IAS aspirant, but not too much. If you are relying on too much, then you may get 5% extra at the cost of revision, at the cost of reproduction, and that is what very key in this exam, right? Please take it.
First of all, he had to ask a question.
Yeah,
sir.
please.
Offline student. Which batch you are from? अच्छा, fledgling. Hmm.
तो मुझे ऑप्शन कब लेना चाहिए, इस साल लेना चाहिए, अगले साल लेना चाहिए, और या मेरा इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड है, तो मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि सर मैं 2-3 सब्जेक्ट समझ नहीं आ रहा
कौन सा लेना है? Which one you have to take optional? You are not decided. Yes, that is a call should come from you, not from me or Mr. Chandrabhan or anyone else, and not even from the toppers of last 4 years. You have to take a call, but as I told, there could be many reasons, whether it helps in GS or not, essay or not, but keep all aside. Take one important route to take decision. Which subjects interest you most? Are you getting now? Among the three which you have said already, ask yourself after reading maybe first chapter, each chapter, each subject, 1 or 2 chapters. Take time, maybe 10 more days. No harm in that one. But do not ask in between from your friends and others, because they may influence you directly or indirectly, and that may be dangerous. So if that comes from your own heart, that okay, this X subject is my favorite, and then you take it. Don't do delay on that one. That is
Sir,
also
I have a
harmful.
hijack on this.
Yes, please.
I also come from engineering background. Let me tell this. Engineering, sir is from a core history background. So I also interact with sir as a student sometimes. So there is a shortcut I'll tell you. One is that while you do your GS batches, you are aware about the subject, but maybe not to that extent. Maybe the depth to which Tariq sir teaches in history optional class, he may not have the time to teach in GS. Another thing which will at times cost you some money, or you have to do some jugaad, is that ask people who are doing optional in history, anthropology, and geography, the 3 subjects in which you are torn, to share their class notes with you. Sit with the class notes and go through any portion in which you are aware. And if you find, तब तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा, then your answer will be. Do that.
सर अभी इस साल लेना है
No, the moment you have decided, he is asking, the moment you have decided an optional, you should start preparing, because optional will take time. Do not
Yes.
delay it.
Yes.
Please do not delay it. I'm telling it, any optional you choose, whatever your strategy, the earlier is the better. Another question that people are asking is that how to prepare art and culture. Praveen sir and Rohan sir are not there. So please, can you just tell briefly about
Art and culture.
art and culture?
First of all, you have to remove a myth that art and culture is a subject separated from history. Since I am teaching since last, I told 27 years, this is now. So I have seen various phases of UPSC. Actually, because of the new pattern which came since 2013, some coaching institutes started teaching it separately, maybe because of some faculty issue, etc. What is art? Architecture, sculpture, painting, music, dance, some folk art. Am I right? This is already part of history. In fact, our history department in my university is called History and Culture. So history and culture is not separate. What is history? It's not political only. It's economic, social, it's cultural. And in that culture, all the fine arts, all the visual arts is already part. Already in modern history, we study history of cinema. Do you know that one of the most famous historian of our time, Ramchandra Guha, has written history of cinema? He has written history of cricket, an entire test cricket, and he's a historian, and he wrote very beautiful book on history of cricket right from the origin till date, and how only few days back I heard his interview on the book itself, and he said how cricket was played just listen what I'm saying. And this I heard it from a historian. Otherwise, I could not have understood this point. How cricket was started by colonial British, came to Rajas and Maharajas, then came to middle class, and then came to working class. And just check it, the order that in the 1920s and 30s, gentlemen, British. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, it was Rajas and Maharajas, Pataudis and Patialas. Nawab Pataudi was captain of Indian cricket team. You know that? Then in the 60s and 70s came the middle class Sunil Gavaskar and Prasanna and Kapil Dev and Bedi. And now you have Rinku Singh. You heard it or not? You have Pathan brothers. And do you know that how poor these people are? And very interesting, you heard about Lakshman Shivarama Krishnan, he was a Dalit. Narendra Hirwani, he was a Dalit. So how cricket has become democratized in the last 50 odd years, this is history of cricket. So that's what modern art, modern literature. So it is not separated. It is very much integral part. Like the question could be asked, why during post-Mauryan period, so many sculptural and architecture developed in India? One was economy was good, trade and commerce was good. Traders generally fund art and literatures, either by kings or by traders. So if not king, then by traders. In Mughal period, luckily it was both kings finance and the rich traders and nobles finance. So you have a lot of buildings, not necessarily built by Mughal king, but also by nobles. And that's why some period would have, like Gupta period, huge Sanskrit literature. But each one was not by the kings. There were some individuals, there was some finance by some temples, by some private individuals. So that is how it is connected with all historical development. So once you read history, it would be part. You can separate it. Okay, this is art and culture for your sake.
Yes. I cannot read the questions, please.
Okay.
So,
Genuine interest in
थोड़ा
history.
ऊपर चलिए. We have missed so many
हाँ,
questions.
थोड़ा स्लो हो जाओ.
First of all, the nature of classroom that we have here is that every week we have one section of the. It's like GS, we don't have every day a separate area. ऐसा नहीं होगा that first day Tariq sir comes, then Praveen sir will come, next day I'll come. ऐसा नहीं है. It will be week wise. The idea is that in history optional classroom program, we start with a section and we try to cover that section, and then we pass over the baton to the next subject. And why we do that is that so that in all the four areas, because there is no second thought about the fact that it is comparatively, it is a broader syllabus. I would not say vast. So you need to feel comfortable with all the areas, and many times the areas are interlinked also. So for example, sir will be teaching Cornwallis in India, and I'll be teaching Cornwallis in American Revolution. So at times that inter sectional approach that is also developed when we do all the four areas, and we ensure that by the time say 3 months are done, so you have done a significant portion of all that.
And you know, sir would teach positives of industrial revolution in England. I will teach negatives of industrial revolution in India.
Yes.
Same time. Are you getting my point? He would teach positives of railways in England. I will teach negatives of railways in India. So you can quickly connect the two dimension of the same topic. That's the beauty. Like he would teach World War One purely from European and world context. We will discuss in modern history World War One and in India, World War Two and India. He will teach Great Depression, causes and its consequences in America and Europe. We will discuss how Great Depression was linked with civil disobedience movement. Are you getting or not? How I will not decode right now, so that you first come to my classes. Okay, don't mind. This is just joking. Okay, yes, please.
Do we have to mention scholars, sir? So it depends from subject to subject. For example, in modern world history, yes, there are areas where we do refer to some scholars, not too much, but we do historiography. For example, they are very famous ones because, for example, World War One and World War Two, a lot of literature is there, and sometimes questions can be asked to what extent. This was a question in GS, but this is also a question in optional. To what extent, this was a question asked in 2015, I remember, because I myself was attempting, that to what extent Hitler was responsible for the outbreak of Second World War. Now that question can be answered with the help of your GS knowledge. In optional, generally people, when you write about Second World War, there is a very famous historian, AJP Taylor, who has written a book, The Origins of Second World War. So when you write about Second World War, the views of AJP Taylor comes into picture. So it happens that we don't have to prepare historians or scholars at least about world history, but while we discuss, invariably the name of these scholars will come into picture and you'll know how to integrate. For example, in American Constitution, there is a historian, Charles Baird. इन्होंने किताब लिखी the economic interpretation of American Constitution. So when you talk about American Constitution, it goes without saying that even if you want to avoid, the name will come. But I think that it should not be prepared, or you should not be too much obsessed with historiography. Sir will tell the answer for that. Yeah. So historiography or the name of scholars is something that comes organically. Just say when Praveen sir will teach, I will just say one line. When Praveen sir will teach Mauryan times, he will necessarily, sir, refer to Romila Thapar. It goes without saying. So you don't have to be obsessed about scholars. Sir will tell why you don't have, because he has also been associated with the other side of UPSC. So bataiye sir.
There are one type of question in which you should know. For instance, decline of Harappan civilization. Now, John Marshall has a view. You get my point? Different from R.S. Sharma, who is our historian. Now, in those points, there are 4 or 5 theories given by different scholars, right? When you're dealing that topic like fall of Mughal Empire, so what are the reasons given by Athar Ali, different from Irfan Habib, different from Satish Chandra? At that time, you need to weigh the two opinions, like 1857 revolt. What was it? Sepoy mutiny, or it was a mass movement, or it was a popular uprising, as said by Bipin Chandra, or it was clash of civilization between the barbarics and the civilized world, as a very famous English historian said it. You have to argue like. But in 95% question, the teacher is not interested in knowing from you what Romila Thapar said or Bipin Chandra said. They already know. They are interested in knowing what Mr. Sohan, what Mr. Mohan, what Mr. Sohani have understood about that topic. That is the first rule. Another rule, you may misquote them also. You said according to R.S. Sharma. And imagine R.S. Sharma is checking the copy and he said, I never said it. This has happened already to many people in UPSC and they said it कि मेरा ही नाम लेके मुझे बदनाम किया उसने. मैंने तो ऐसा कभी कहा ही नहीं था. You get my point? So that is another danger, that you are using someone's names without confirmation. So the idea behind is that you have to express your idea on Harappan civilization decline after knowing all. Another tool, except in few cases, as rightly said, about suppose you're talking American Constitution or you're talking about some, you have to name AGP Taylor, you have to name Benson and Hedges, you have to name some other historian, but provided you know very accurately that he really said it. You may not exactly use the quote, but you can say his thing in your own sentence. But it would be hardly 5 to 10% in the entire scheme of this exam. So do not worry about that one. Yes.
Organically, it will come to you.
Yes, you're right.
Be obsessed. You will know about it.
And one more interesting thing. Suppose you're talking about Delhi Sultanate and Mughals. What happens? Ziauddin Burni is a historian of that time. Abul Fazl is a historian of that time. Mullah Qadir Badayuni was a historian of that time. At that time, if you use those people, like how Deen-e-Ilahi was seen, Abul Fazl differently and Abdul Qadir Badayuni differently, though they were both in court. So if you say Abdul Qadir Badayuni saw Deen-e-Ilahi as a religion, and Abul Fazl saw is as a code of conduct to control the nobility. So how it happened that both were in the court of Akbar and interpreted Deen-e-Ilahi differently, so much so that majority people in India think that Deen-e-Ilahi was a new religion. And I remember many my uncles and relatives told that Akbar started a new religion. Do you know that? I said, no, that was not a religion. That was like Ashoka Dhamma. Was it a new religion or it was a code of conduct taken from various sources, in Buddhism including? Similarly, Akbar Deen-e-Ilahi was not a religion. Then why Abdul Qadir Badayuni said it? And the answer is that he was more orthodox Muslim than Abul Fazl. And he saw Akbar's religious policy very critically. He was opposed to Akbar's religious policy, and that's the reason. So, if you bring in your answer this, your answer would be above all or not. Now, how much time it took you to understand this Deen-e-Ilahi in my class? 2 minutes? My colleague would also take 2 to 3 minutes, same. This is what I said earlier, that if you attend good lectures and one textbook, all concepts are in your fingertips.
And let me add, you are not here to do PhD on the subject.
Yes.
You are not here to publish a research paper that, for example, on any area of history optional, you have to know the views of 10 historians. For example, if we study the historiography of American Revolution, so even till last year, something new was written.
Yes.
But the purpose of studying history optional is to take lessons from history so that you do not repeat the same mistakes when you are in administration. So you have to learn that, okay, if Ashok can use Dhamma in a multi-linguistic, multi-sectorial society, if Akbar can do it, then how in modern India we can also incorporate the elements of secularism? So you have to study from the perspective of an administrator, not that of a PhD scholar. That is where the difference is. That is where the difference is between preparing it for, say, UPSC examination and preparing it for. Now, there is a question, sir, I have genuine interest in the subject, but there is a stigma. First of all, this is not a stigma. Let me tell you that even people from engineering background, I don't have now, but I can prove it, that people from non-history background, in fact, in our classroom, most of the students are from non-history background. So from engineering, sometimes people from medical also. All type of people who have interest in the subject and they know the utility of the subject, they prepare and they score good also. It is a myth because students remember the name or possibly the marks of only those people who get in the top 20 every year. They don't go and check the name of the students of top 200 or 300. If you do that, then you will see that all optionals are successful. All optionals are successful. Yes, the percentage may vary from, say, 9% from an optional to 7%. And the reason why some of the optionals have, say, possibly lesser number is because lesser number of students write. So let me tell you that what is popular is not always effective. It depends from you. It depends upon your choice. So it is a myth. And why this myth has been created is because every year it happens that only the top 20, top 25, 30 students, they are in news and everybody knows about them. Nobody knows about a student who scored from history option 64th rank.
Actually, there is one more point. Just in continuation.
Yes.
You have to see percentage. How many people appeared in main and how many people cleared it. By and large, all popular subject in the bracket of 6 to 8%. 100 students appeared, 6 to 8 would clear.
Every year, yes.
Now, the number of political science and sociology would be higher in appearing. So, the successful number would be also same. Percentage by and large would same between 6 to 8%. Only 3 subjects are very high in percentage, which you can't take it. Number 1, medicine, 16 to 18%. Number 2, law, again 15 to. We had done this homework, me and one former secretary telecom in my university, and we were just doing it. What is the percentage of this one? And university wise also. For instance, maximum students came from Delhi University. But that doesn't mean you join Delhi University. The reason is that Delhi University has 65 colleges. How many Indian universities have 65 colleges? You couldn't believe it or not. That is the first point. And secondly, since large number of students are doing a lot of courses online, offline, correspondence, you understood this? So that is the reason why among all these, the number 2 would be IITs. There are plenty of IITs, so a lot of students from IITs also. And of course, in that list, we checked all type of university represented. First time I came to know about a university called Tilka माझी University from one of my successful candidate. मैंने उससे पूछा है कहाँ, उसने कहा भागलपुर में. मैंने कहा थैंक यू. और आज से 15 साल पहले की बात है. ओके, बट मैंने पहली बार उससे सुना था. First time I came to know from one of my student a university called Sharda University that is in located in Noida from one of my student who got third rank, Junaid Ahmed from UP. तो मैंने उससे पूछा पढ़ाई कहाँ से की थी, उसने कहा शारदा. मैंने कहा कहाँ है ये, उसने कहा नोएडा में, हालांकि दिल्ली के पास में. बट what is my point? It's not only DU and JNU and IIT. The beauty of IAS exam is that very unknown university in central Jharkhand, like Madhya Pradesh called Sagar, there is a place and MP and there is a university, I'm forgetting the name. आप सोच सकते हो कि मैं यूनिवर्सिटी का नाम भूल रहा हूँ, इसका मतलब है कि बहुत मशहूर नहीं होगा. ओके, समथिंग गौर यूनिवर्सिटी. एंड वहाँ का कैंडिडेट IAS है, IPS है. So what my point, as sir rightly said, whether you take history, geography, economy, polity from your interest, forget your background. That is irrelevant. Sometime, in fact, not coming from history background and taking optional history is a blessing. You know how? This I learned while teaching. A student of history would have a lot of ifs and buts. He has already read something, and most likely, if not from very good university, he read something wrong. And we have to remove that wrong first and then fill right first. Those who came fresh, they're fresh. So it would not take time to fill that right. You understood this?
Yes, sir. And also people from history background, I have seen that they come up with a historical bias.
Yes,
Means
you're true.
And there is among youth, there is a love or inclination for Marxist
No.
views.
Before I
So
teach,
people are more inclined towards Marxist historians.
before I started teaching civil services, I was called as a Marxist in the campus. Are you getting?
Yes.
कि leftist है, Marxist है type. When I started teaching, देखा नहीं यहाँ तो यार थोड़ा balance करना पड़ेगा. Here you have to do Marxist versus nationalist idea because it is for civil service exam. You can't attack Gandhi, Nehru, Patel. These are holy cows. You get my point or not? And they are nationalists. They sacrificed life and they went to jail. So here the approach is different. But in PG and our researches, हम तो गांधी को बहुत ही बुरा भला कह चुके थे पहले, with all due respect to Bapu. But the point is that that was academic. So those that he's very much right that those who come from history background generally would have a bias towards most of the topic. But of course, in UPSC he would quickly correct also. So he would have some advantage also. Don't forget. But I hope in our classes, whether you are coming history background or not, you would be brought at par. Okay? Yes.
There's so much broad syllabus you said. How to remember? जैसे इस model खत्म किया,
Hmm.
word पढ़ लिया,
Hmm.
फिर
Okay, I can give you a beautiful example. Hope you would agree with this, right? You said how to remember. He's asking, history is vast. How to remember history, which is very vast. Do you know one of the longest Hindi cinema in Indian history, Sholay? You remember? What is the duration of the movie? 3.5 hours. जो बाद में कट कट के तीन घंटे का हुआ. अभी most of the movie is 2 hours, 220 hours. Am I right? वो थी 3.5 घंटे की. मैं उससे एक सवाल पूछता हूँ. Have you seen that movie? Who was Dhanno in the movie? Who was Dhanno in the movie? Dharmender, why? Dhanno. वो घोड़ी का नाम था. The mayor. You know that? You all remember?
That is Basanti.
Mayor? घोड़ी? Imagine, तुम्हें घोड़ी का नाम याद है. पूरा कैरेक्टर का नाम पब्लिक को याद है. Because the story was told so beautifully by Salim Javed and Ramesh Shippi that every character you remember it. Many dialogues people still remember. कितने आदमी थे? Am I right or wrong? So history is all about who is telling history.
And also there are so
You
many
know, point
things
or
that
not?
you don't have to remember also.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember everything. You don't have to remember every year. We tell this in every class. Even if you don't remember the year of Crimean War, that's okay. You can say middle of 19th century.
Yes.
But yes, you have to remember which are the important twists and turns. You will not remember everything of your life of what has happened in the last 10 years, but you will remember the important milestones that has brought you here. You'll remember that yes, I won a major tournament in football if you play football. Then I did so well in my class 10th. Then I did this in my class 12th. So many things have happened in your life. You don't remember all your friends, but you remember the important ones. So similarly, history is about the study of events of the world that has shaped the modern world. Not everything, because I'm telling you, in world history you have so many continents, but we cannot remember everything, and we don't have to.
Hmm.
What we remember is important milestones, pillars. एक बार पहले वो समझ लीजिए. Then the minor details, name of few books, जैसे historians, name of many travelers will be there, but आपको 4-5 पढ़ने हैं. You have to read 4-5, maybe 4-5 in ancient, 4-5 in medieval.
I can list
Please.
Megasthenes, Huensong, Pahian put together. Only these three for the main. Then Al-Biruni, 11th century. Then this man called Ibn Battuta. Then Marco Polo. उस पे तो सीरीज ही है, देख लो ऐसे ही समझ आ जाएगा क्या क्या उसने लिखा, क्या क्या बोला, एटसेट्रा. इब्न बतूता, मार्के पोलो, और एक दो और होगा जो लाइक इन शाहजहां पीरियड देयर आर सम ट्रैवलर्स which you can quote, and of course Babur, who was both, you can say, as a traveler, as a writer in Tuzuke Babri, that is his memoirs. So these are few sources, and you can get in class itself, your teacher itself would tell the story. So coming to that question and that traveler, etc., it's all about central theme. If you remember, peripheries would automatically come. But if you don't remember central theme,
yes,
you would struggle.
And you have to remember facts in every subject. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Let me be honest. In geography, if you read, you have to read various type of substratum of soil. In political science, you have to read about so many thinkers and the books they have written. In PubAd, you have to read about the thinkers and their books. So let me be honest that somebody has asked the question, what is the difference between GS and optional? Definitely the level of depth. Any optional, we cannot say that any optional can be done with a tangential approach. It happens for every optional. But what is good about history is that first it is in the form of a story. It is a sholay.
Yes.
To borrow from Sir's analogy, it is a sholay in which first you remember the beginning, the end, the important points, or dhire dhire, as you do enrichment of your ideas and knowledge, you'll remember the books. Even if you don't take history optional, you have to remember so many facts in history for your prelims examination. आज तो पढ़ना पड़ता है. So good part is that do that in your optional. Save your effort for your GS. है ना? आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. You have to read Kalhans Raj Tarangini. You have to read that. It goes without saying. Which are the important biographies that were written in medieval times? Which are the important works that have been written in modern world? Which are the famous battles that Sir will teach in modern India? So that is definitely UPSC is a difficult examination. There is no second thought about that.
Actually, it becomes difficult because of two reasons. One is it looks like difficult because of the number of students who appear, 5 lakh plus, right? But that is not the real reason. The real reason is that 30,000-40,000 are dead serious. Seats are 1,000. But those dead serious are very quality students. They are from IITs, IIMs, top universities, already good students, and some of them are what is called jujharu. They don't give up. They fight till the very end. That makes this competition almost like FIFA top 8 team. Any of the 8 can win the gold medal. Right or wrong? Can win the trophy. So that becomes intense because of that reason. Second is, for many students, it becomes tough because they don't follow the basics. If you follow the basics, as I told before this, that there is a syllabus, there is a question, as sir was talking also, and just do daily homework, 1 question or 2 questions a day, then things become much easier than what it appears to be. That's the point, right? Yes, please.
The book by Black Swan of Arjun Dev is a good book for 20th century world history. Very good book. Either you can read old NCERT or you should read. in the beginning I told you what is the beauty of NCERT for your entire preparation. Now somebody is asking that I want to do my PG from JNU. Will taking this course help me in my CUET PG?
No, not at all. CUET is different ball game. Maybe some common part is common. Are you getting not? After all, when you talk Gandhi and some of the things about Gandhi would remain same. So please do not confuse, because college entrance, university entrance is meant for all type of people. UPSC syllabus is different. And if you are doing this course for CUET, then actually you are at wrong place. I hope you understand this, because I taught for UGC NET also. So UGC NET can help, history optional, and that is because it is pure history, and that is uh, post PG level. You understand this? So in which we used to discuss historiography, we used to discuss various conceptual questions of history. But CUET is an entrance test. Entrance test of a university which is just introduced 2 years back, that is different from your history optional, right? Okay.
So here also questions.
Yeah, I think one student, he is asking, I don't have any background, but that is the same point.
Yes, yes.
Most of you would not have. Okay.
What is the difference between GS history questions and optional? Many a times the questions overlap. I
Yes.
told you, but the approach to write it can be different. For example, I'll tell you an example from modern world history only. If they ask a question, say Cold War. Cold War is something that we do in GS also. But if they ask a question on Arab-Israel dispute, then possibly we have to refer to the major wars. But if we write that answer from the in optional, then we have to bring into factor Arab nationalism and oil imperialism also. So questions can be same, because there is a lot of overlap of GS and optional. Most of it overlaps only. Depth can change. That is why when you asked that, sir, do we get questions in GS history from history optional? I told you it has to be there from there. Where will you get it from? Where will you get a question in modern India apart from what you are doing in optional? The syllabus is same. Depth is more. So the answer writing approach changes once you write for optional, once you write for GS. The questions can be same. This time all the questions of history GS have been asked in a more detailed manner in optional.
Anything else? Our teacher would help with all examples as well as with all practice session, etc. And map is of course very important. You can get very high, up to 40, 45 out of 50, provided your concept of recognizing the places, because the places would be very close. Suppose something is located in Bihar, so it could be both Gaya as well as Patliputra, but the distance between the two is more less than 100 kilometer, but in the map it would be less than millimeter. You understand this or not? So the moment you got wrong, so you would write wrong answer. This is a common problem, because they cite a Paleolithic site, a Chalcolithic site, and there are a lot of Chalcolithic sites in Rajasthan alone and very close by. So in Harappan site, so the location of site recognition, once that is done, and you would done enough practice in that 4 or 5 things you have to write about each site, which is most crucial. Sometimes some site is known with certain identity, like you are writing about Nalanda. What is the first thing you would write? Tell me. University. And if you're writing Nalanda and not writing university, is it not a crime? I saw many students while checking answers that about a particular site और उसकी जो सबसे important चीज थी वही नहीं लिखा, बाकी they wrote all. So teacher would also be like feeling something incomplete, and I'm sure that my colleague would help you.
Yes, Praveen,
out.
he takes 17
Yes.
to 18 classes. He takes a lot of classes. Let me tell you, today is not here, but he takes 17 to 19 very comprehensively. He does it. So you will get a lot of hand holding. You will get a lot of coverage with respect to ancient India maps. I can vouch for that. I know it. and it is done in so detail that most of the questions which are asked in map section is from our class notes.
In fact,
Yes.
in continuation of that, almost I can tell 90 to 95% questions in UPSC, IAS, history optional classes of all ancient, medieval, modern world would be from what we have already discussed, which we have already told. Only the language would be different. Language you cannot predict unless the paper is leaked, which we expect it should not happen. But most of the topic we have discussed in the class itself, and sometime also the angle in which a particular question can be asked. If you had given attention during lectures, and have noted all those, some organized and some disorganized part, and revise it, you won't mess it. Main questions are mostly predictable. Even in general study, this is mostly predictable. Prelims are more dicey. There would be 30% always unexpected. And interview, at least 20% of time is unexpected. It would be shocking, surprising, case study, situation based. Are you getting not? So interview 60, 70% is you can guess in advance. Prelims 60, 70% you can guess. Main you can guess almost 100% in optional paper, provided you just do homework, and we will help in cracking, how the questions can be predicted. There would be option like question 1 and 5 are compulsory. You have to choose another one from any of the section, modern history or modern world. I'm sure you would be so rich that you would have a good headache which one to leave. This I call good headache. Normally headache बुरा होता है, लेकिन कई बार हेडेक अच्छा होता है. वो एक आता है ना, दाग अच्छे सर्फ से साफ कीजिए. You heard it at what is good headache in cricket? When a captain has a dilemma, whom to drop, all 12 players are doing well, but we can only choose 11. So one has to be dropped. And the 12th man who was dropped was doing very well. That's a very good dilemma for some good captains. That is called good headache. So you hopefully would have this good headache. यार मुझे तो पांचवा आता है, ये कह रहे हैं कि इसमें से एक ड्रॉप करना है, तो कौन सा वाला ड्रॉप करें. अगर ऐसा सिचुएशन आ जाए, यू रिमेंबर इन योर कॉलेज डेज 5 में से 3 करना होता था कई बार, या 10 में से 5, तुम्हें आता था 3. You remember this? And you didn't know what is the next one. Am I right? This happened? But here you would know, hopefully, all. Don't worry. Yes.
सर, there is a student who is saying कि मेरे को handout और standard book समझ में नहीं आता, इसीलिए तो क्लास करना चाहिए. That is why you have to do class.
Any written part.
That is why you have to do class.
Any written part would have one problem. I since wrote a book for Tata Micro Hill, which I will give it to you. So I know how it works. When we were writing, only me and my God, no one else. So I didn't know at that time whether my reader would understand it or not. And there would be different level of understanding. So when Bipan Chandra wrote, R.S. Sharma wrote, they would write from their higher level. Why would they care about a student of PG and undergrad? Even if they care, they can't come to that level. That is a problem with all writings. You get my point? In class, we can find from your face. First, are you taking interest or not? Are you attentive or not? Second, by your questions, we know that you're getting. Then sometime we will encourage, please ask question. You ask, all heard. So you understood it. Are you getting not? Somebody online asked, offline understood, and vice versa. So that becomes interactive. And that makes this subject very good and interesting. That is why there is no alternate of two things in civil service exam. One, class lectures. Two, standard book or source. It is like लाइफ में कुछ चीजों का अल्टरनेट बनाया है गॉड ने. मीट नहीं खाते हो तो वेज में प्रोटीन का अल्टरनेट है ना, सोयाबीन. एक पल्स से दूसरा पल्स हो जाएगा, लेकिन सूरज की रोशनी का अल्टरनेट नहीं है अभी तक. या आर्टिफिशियल लाइट अल्टरनेट नहीं है. एक काम चला हुआ है रात में. माँ की ममता का अल्टरनेट नहीं है. बॉयफ्रेंड का है, गर्लफ्रेंड का है. राइट और रॉन्ग? यू टेल मी. तो एग्जैक्टली ऐसे ही पढ़ाई में कुछ चीज का अल्टरनेट नहीं है, लेक्चर का आज भी अल्टरनेट। आई माई सेल्फ रीड every day some good books, and every day I listen some interviews of some prominent people from history or economy or international affairs or any prominent people in the world, and that is because uska koi alternate nahi hai. I hope you're getting my point. Else आपका knowledge वहीं का वहीं रह जाएगा, दुनिया आगे बढ़ जाएगी. So you have to get it from the best brain of the world, and that is what here four people would be helping you. And coming to the lowest level, that is the beauty in the class, the 2.5 hours we start from class 10th, take it to almost PG level in that 2.5 hours, and it is possible you all would come to that level. I hope you're getting. Please.
There is a question they have asked with respect to Bipan Chandra.
Two Bipan Chandra, yes, not two. There are many more books by Bipan Chandra, but you have to read one, and that one is India's struggle for independence. Rest you can get it from our sources. Yes, please.
Sir, should I answer to the history questions after completing the one chapter of the history or after completing a ancient part of the
No. Chapter wise. It's too late. By the time you finish Gupta's, you would forget everything about Harappa. So at least few basic questions,
CYQ chapter.
chapter wise you must do after completion. You're getting not? And then you can do after ancient also, after medieval also. So there could be 2-3 rounds. One is that you read 4 chapters first, take notes, and start answering all those 4 chapters. But don't make it too long and then come back. That would be little difficult. Okay?
Obviously, in GS papers, first of all, nowadays, good thing that is happening, or I don't know whether it is a good thing or not, but many questions are difficult. So, first of all, optional student has more understanding, more depth to tackle that. And second, because you have read it in so much of detail, so you are at a liberty to write a bit more. But provided you also, that is asked, you cannot write everything that you know in optional in a JS. Definitely there has to be a limit, but it definitely helps because you can add more dimensions. You, for example, the question that was asked: industrial revolution in England and the decline of handicrafts and handlooms in India. So yes, we do that in GS also. So teaches here also, but the depth in which you will be covering it in optional will be so much that even in your GS answer, when you have knowledge, even when you say simpler things, you say it with more dimensions. So it is going to help. Definitely, it is going to help.
In fact, it is a competition. So if you score in GS history slightly better than others, so that edge which you would have would compensate at those places where you might have not done well, say in paper 3. You're getting now. So take advantage. It's like some batsman target some weak bowlers and play safely some very good bowlers. Have you noticed that? So you should target history. यहाँ score करना है. If the total number is 75, I should get 50 because कहीं और 30 भी मिलने वाला है. And that is what you can have edge in that subject. And the same is I told in the prelims also. And one more thing which I fail to mention is, which I often do in other places, that at least 2 essay you can do it without doing any other thing if you are a good student of history. I saw this essay which was asked last week, that out of 8, there are 5 essays which a student of history can do much better than others. The first essay was that civilization comes later, first is forest, and then once civilization come desert. Just read Harappan civilization and you would find that one of the reasons for the decline of Harappan is ecological imbalance. This entire Rajasthan became desert later on. This exact Sahara, Gobi, you know that? So this is very interesting that in history you would learn somehow. Of course, for essay you have to do some other homework, but a student of history can catch it much better, and 40 to 50% part of essay is automatically covered through history reading. The remaining 40-50% you have to do in essay classes.
Yes, sir. In fact, let me add that a question was asked that the doubter is a true man of science.
Yes.
So I teach that in world history, that the age of science was the age of inquiry. It was the age of rationalism, and there we discuss in history optional. We don't do it in GS. That Rene Descartes had introduced the method of, he had introduced the idea of methodic doubt, that start by doubting in everything. He's called as the father of modern psychology. So when you study Rene Descartes, when you study the scientific revolution, then you are, I would not say that only knowing Rene Descartes will help you write an answer, but because you have studied the age of inquiry, age of science, age of reason, you understand that in what background modern science has emerged, empiricism, rationalism, all these things. So it definitely adds value.
And questioning, everything to be questioned. Newton questioned why apple fell, why not remain same. So gravitation was discovered. If you read our own socio-religious reformer, Rajaram questioned why sati, why not sata, why not a male also die along with his wife's funeral body, and he questioned that one. Ghalib used to say very beautifully about questioning, हुई मुद्दत के गालिब मर गया पर याद करते हैं. Long back Ghalib died, I still remember. हुई मुद्दत के गालिब मर गया पर याद करते हैं. वो हर एक बात पे कहना कि यूं होता तो क्या होता. Are you getting now? यूं होता तो क्या होता means had it happened, what could have happened? So it also create hypothetical questions. There was a question exactly on this base in your GS. Without Mahatma Gandhi, freedom struggle of India could have been somewhat different. Comment. Now imagine without Mahatma Gandhi, एक तो बड़ा खाली खाली सा लगता, सुना सुना सा लगता. ऐसा होता है ना, कोई खास मेहमान नहीं आया हो, पार्टी में सबको इंतजार है, पार्टी सुना लगता है. So I was also imagine महात्मा गांधी के बिना पूरा freedom struggle कैसा लगता. But that question is very interesting, that what role Gandhi played in freedom struggle, which no other political leaders before him, even Tilak, could not play that role. That was the question. And what is the answer? Of course, you would get in my classes or our classes. You know how we are marketing. Please don't mind, but we are just telling you the what benefits of classroom study, right? Yes, you can start. You're matured enough. All of you are graduates, 18 plus. मूवी देखते हो हर तरह का, तो क्यों ना पढ़ाई भी हर तरह का कर सकते हो.
Yes, if you have awareness, you should start. That is a choice. There are few things that you should decide on yours by yourself. Fine. So again, NCRT, sir, let me answer.
Yeah.
NCRTs you have to read selectively, but mostly it is class 11, 12 NCRTs. Don't go to class 6. We don't have time and we don't require to do so much of basics. So 11, 12 old NCRTs. As and when I told them, sir, that whenever you have to read, ask the faculty, so that you have to take your.
No, he is very much on right track. When you read science, you can read 6, 7, 8, 9 if you are not from science background. In history, reading 11th and 12th actually has a logic, because 6, 7, 8 topic is same Harappan, same Mughal, same Gandhi. But in 11th, 12th, same topic, but with greater depth. So if you're reading higher depth, which is required, so why you read 6, 7, 8? So at least in history, you don't have to read 6, 7, 8. But of course, for geography, economy, you can ask your respective faculty, that would be better, right?
I am not able to mug up everything when I go in depth. Don't mug up. I would say that start first, have an understanding of the structure of the syllabus. For example, if you study modern world history, understand that what are the important developments in modern world. Dark ages, Renaissance, Reformation, Age of Science, Enlightenment, beginning of colonialism, American Revolution, French Revolution, nationalism, World War I, World War II. तो पहले तो आप बोर्ड पर ये बना लें. And then as you do American Revolution, then why American Revolution? What were the developments? You may forget name of some of the laws passed by the British, but you will understand why the American Revolution happened. As I said, history is a study of continuity and change. You may not have to read everything, You may not have to read everything. You may not have to remember everything in the beginning. Not possible. But once you have understood the narrative, the flow, then gradually as you read, it will not happen in one time. Please don't mistake to complete the syllabus. You will never be able to complete the syllabus or have command over it in one go. Multiple readings will be there. Sometimes you learn through the test series. There are informations which you integrate and enrich and add through the test series. It happens in prelims also. Not everything you know in the textbooks. Sometimes you find that a question is asked in a MCQ and then you realize that, okay, this was the aspect probably I had read, heard in the class, but I did not pay attention. So don't have to worry about it. This is a process where students, even the day before they get selected, there was a friend of mine who got 81th rank. A day before he got the rank, he was preparing for prelims and he said that इस बार तो थोड़ा अच्छे से नहीं हो गया, अगली बार दम लगाएंगे. But he got 81st rank. So till you get selected, you always have areas which you feel that you would have done better. But the moment you get selected, that you realize that everything that I touched was good.
Yeah,
That
that's
is a
good.
difference.
Actually, you know, when you think that a subject like history is very difficult, you have to keep like this. Which topic I have written? Land reform. Do you know that this topic is also taught in Indian economy? Do you know that this topic is also taught in geography? Do you know that this is a topic also taught in sociology? Do you know this is also taught in law? And do you know that it is also taught in science and technology? The problem is that if it is put in history syllabus, then you think this is difficult. But when the same topic is in geography, it becomes easier for you. That is mindset. If I say that democracy you are going to study in history, then because you have a aura or bhoot of history, so it looks difficult. He would teach democracy, how it evolved in England and Europe. We will discuss in India how it evolved. But political science teacher would also teach. Law teacher would also teach. Is not democracy in all the subject? Is not secularism in all law as well as in political science, in history, in sociology? So actually the point I'm making is majority topics are interdisciplinary. It is put in history basket. That's it. So what is the best idea? That forget it is history or geography, polity or economy. There is a topic called reform, land reform, and what kind of questions on land reform could be asked, whether it is asked in paper 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, that I am ready to answer. And that's why I was just talking to our friend who teaches public ad that his paper is reflected in 3 papers. I always tell my paper history is reflected in paper 1, paper 2, paper 4, essay, interview. And this is true with many subjects. And that reason is that the moment you read Green Revolution, you have to read Green Revolution in history, post-independent India. You have to read it in geography. You have to read it in economy. You have to read it in polity because there was a politics on that. That a lot of people who oppose this entire, Green Revolution project, just like some environmentalists always object some big dams. So there would be politics, there would be science. So why you take it like history? I hope you're getting note. So there are many topics. Do you know that if I say music, pure music, in which subject you study music? No, forget history, other than history. In which subject you study music? There would be a separate subject, music itself. There would be subject in history, art and culture. But do you know that it is also taught in many countries in geography department? And this, when I heard first time in a seminar in university, one top geographer told me, and in audience, that there is music in different geographical area. That how Australian music, African Central music, South African music, Arabs music. Are you getting note? How geography and music are very much correlated. आपने कभी देखा जब कोई भी इंडियन सिनेमा में अरब्स का कोई सीन दिखाते हैं तो एक खास ट्यून आता है, Have you noticed this one? ये हालांकि I know that it is a stereotype, but the moment कोई western दिखाता है तो अलग आता है. Have you noticed that? The moment कोई तमिल वाला दिखाता है तो अलग सा आता है tune, and यूपी का दिखाता है तो अलग सा आता है. That is geography of music. Now, can you imagine कि geography का एक बंदा music पढ़ रहा होगा? Shocking. So that is exactly the point. I hope you understand. So never have this illusion. So I suppose I am talking Deen Ilahi. So I would not treat it that I am studying history. I am studying Deen Ilahi. That's it. इत्तेफाक से हिस्ट्री के सिलेबस में, कल को ये रिलीजन के सिलेबस में भी हो सकता है, लैंग्वेज के सिलेबस में भी हो सकता है, ऑलरेडी है in many Indian universities. I hope you understood it. And that is the advantage, that so many topics you would read in history that it would help in your GS, essay and interview. Okay, I think this is more than enough, and thank you very much for your all support as well as well wishes from our side. So see you shortly in live action, right? Great. Thank you, online friends. May God bless you, all of you. Thank you.